The influence of Karl Marx on modern-day society cannot be understated, especially when referring to the so-called left of the political world. Whenever a leftist refers to capitalism, or the capitalistic system, or even the crisis of capitalism, they are referring to the critical work of Karl Marx. But what's important to remember is that Marx didn't simply criticize capitalism, he criticized what he believed to be the capitalistic system based on a systematic philosophy that he expressed throughout all of his work. And while most people criticize the results of Marxist philosophy, specifically every socialist country that has ever existed, very few people bother to criticize the actual philosophy of Karl Marx with simple illustrations, mainly because it's an unnecessarily complex theory buried under economic jargon. This is a great disservice, not just for the critics of Marx who might be missing some crucial points of examination, but also the fans of Marx who might not actually know what they're getting themselves into. But hopefully, that will change. Welcome to the first of a series dedicated to illustrating, examining, and ultimately criticizing the concepts and implications of the work of Karl Marx. I'm Artistic Layman, and this is Demystifying Marx, Part 1. Before Capitalism. In order to understand Marx's criticism of capitalism, it is essential to understand Marx's beliefs on labor, value, and prices, all of which stems from Marx's philosophy of mankind and its relationship to nature.
Come on, Layman. I thought you were going to make a simple illustration.
I know, I'm getting to it. Marx argues that the biggest difference between animals and humans is that while animals live off of nature, humans live by transforming nature to suit their needs. The example Marx might give is this. A spider will make a web on the branch of a tree. Honeybees will make a honeycomb in the hollow of a tree. A man will chop down the tree and then turn the tree into a spear, or a shield, or part of a boat, or part of a house, or anything else he could use for himself. This ability to transform nature into something useful is, in the broadest sense of all of Marx's theory, the creation of value. Human beings have the ability to apply their labor to nature, and this creates value in the form of commodities, that is, created products that have human uses. These commodities can either be traded for other commodities made by other humans, or used by the one who created them, which in turn replenishes his or her ability to labor on nature once again. It's kind of like playing Minecraft on hard mode, where you need to keep your hunger bar maintained, because if you don't, it will quickly diminish your health bar and then kill you. This cycle process of laboring on nature, creating value, and sustaining oneself is what Marx called reproduction, or the reproduction of labor. Everyone must participate in this cycle of value creation and consumption in order to reproduce themselves, not just as a species, but as laboring individuals of the species. But as previously mentioned, humans don't just make commodities for themselves individually, they also trade commodities with each other, and this is the starting point of price creation. Marx explained that while people engage in trade, they will always trade commodities that have equal value. And since human labor creates value, the amount of value that a commodity has is always proportionate to the amount of labor put into it. Not just any vague amount of labor, but the amount of labor power that brought the commodity into existence. After all, if two different people create the same commodity, but one of them takes twice as long to make it, no one would say that one of the identical commodities is twice as valuable as the other. And since everyone is engaging in the labor process, the people engaging in the trade have a kind of intuitive sense of when two commodities have equal value, that is, equal labor. Hypothetically speaking, if we didn't have prices in the modern era, and we had the opportunity to engage in mass trades, people would intuitively know that the average house is exchangeable for about 10 average cars. I know that example is a little silly, but it would be just as valid for any smaller trade. This trading of commodities for other commodities that have equal value based on the labor that created them, which is basically bartering, goes on until people discover the commodity of money in the form of precious metals, aka gold and silver. Marx points out that all commodities have an exchange value and a use value, and while there are other uses for gold and silver, for the most part, the primary use of precious metals is exchange. Because of this, precious metals became the universal trading commodity and thus the expression of all value, leading to the creation of prices, at first in weighted measures and eventually in paper currencies. From this we can derive a simple expression to illustrate Marx's philosophy to this point. Labor creates value, and value anchors prices. With all that, we can finally go on to Marx's interpretation of the capitalistic system, which I will do in part 2. Stay tuned. And until next time, may the will of God be your way.